Okay, awesome. RaShad, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I really appreciate it. You've been such a source of inspiration for us here at Dogwood.
It's an honor because I've been affiliated with Dogwood for more than 5 years now. But it's cool to be here now as you're hitting this quarter century of life, as we would say to a human being.
Absolutely. Well, I remember when we first even heard of you, we
Mhm.
were like, ooh, we really need to get to know this Dr. Thomas Easley. And the more we have talked, the more I have realized that you definitely are a dogwood in the heart and soul. And we have so much in common and so much alignment around, what's going on right now, and our love for forests and our love for the communities that live and depend on the forest. So why do you think forests are so important right now in this moment and the struggle for climate and environmental justice?
Forests, I think, are important for the same reasons that they've always been important. One, just a resource of providing what we need to breathe, what we need to feel better, about ourselves and about the planet, what we need to provide habitat for other beings, wildlife, animals, different forms of life. And when I think forests also provide, like stable, ground for soil so other things can grow. So then that means that a stable forest also helps water, and then a stable forest also helps the climate. That would never go away. Only way that goes away is a forest go away, which I think leads to the second reason why it's important. The concern and valid concern of decreasing, amount of forest. And now there's some places that have more forest land than they did 40, 50 years ago. But when you look overall, the planet, I think, we have less, especially when we look at the rainforest, we have less forest land. So, it's important because we need to keep, forests to maintain a sustainable living. Everywhere where we live was a forest before anyway. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, the way to understand the way the landscape was, it was all, or most of it was forested.
Right.
So the forest is important because it provides, places of culture and living for various communities, and it always has. So people are dependent on the forest. I mean, I could go on about this. I mean, that question could be an hour because
Yeah.
forests are central to who and what we are, but because people don't know a lot of folks don't know the history of them, and also a lot of people don't know the benefits still, and then people also don't know what we're doing that's harming it. So so forests are important right now because people really need to understand how dependent they really are on it.
When we look at what's happening in the southeastern US with the rate and scale of industrial logging and the
Mhm.
pollution that goes along with that, and the impact that that's having in communities is something that a lot of people just don't really even connect the dots on. And I know you and I've talked at length, you're being a forester and having a really unique perspective coming from, essentially a background of working within the forest industry,
Mhm.
and yet maintaining a perspective that our forests are more than just a commodity to be bought and sold.
So I think that with the the racial unrest that was heightened very much last year, but that highlights injustice for people, which I think uh, points spotlights in other places where oppression has regularly been seen. So that's one of the reasons why I think that this is so big, because climate justice is being tied to social justice, which is tied to environmental justice. Then people are waking up to the perils of redlining and horrible housing practices that have continued to marginalize communities. And so these same communities that have been impacted by that, if you look at it, well, where are they in the climate discussion? They've also been negatively impacted in the climate discussion. So you start to see what's happening in the environment and less voices being heard. It's the same phenomena you see happening in the legal or in the justice system. It's the same thing you see happening in the medical healthcare system. It's the same thing see happening in the academic system. It's the same thing you see happening in housing and banking. But the climate is much, in my opinion, probably the most important, just like the race issue was the most important, because everybody is impacted by it. And then it seems like many injustices that we have in this country are tied to color and race is not real, but color is, different hues, but race is not real.
Right.
So now we're trying to unpack all of that, right? While
Mhm.
trying to also change our practices in the environment.
Well, what vital role do you see Dogwood Alliance playing at this moment in the climate justice movement?
You're highlighting the struggle. And that's one of the things you're doing. You're highlighting the struggle. You're doing it in intelligent and inconvenient ways, so you're not being silent. You're using your platform to help other people who don't even have as big of a platform or a voice. And then you're educating people too. I think that you are also, educating. Now, I think another vital role of this is actually agitation. I think that's part of it too. So you elevate the struggles that people are going through, but and I say try to do it because every organization should be doing this. You try to also come up with solutions, to rectify this. So you're not, just highlighting the problem. You're trying to also be you're trying to be a contributor and an educator of how to be fixers. You put your money where your heart is, where your mouth is, and where your head is. Like I've seen you all have look, like here's a problem with the planet. We need to redistribute the wealth and redistribute, I'll be honest, the pain.
Mm-hmm.
We need to redistribute it. So because I'm not saying I want people to hurt, I'm saying I want everybody to see it. Mm-hmm. We all need to see it. We all don't need to agree on it. We need to disagree. It's how we disagree is really important. But because we're not going to see it all the same, but we all need to see it. We treat people like we treat forests. This horrible issue that we're dealing with, this unfairness in so many different ways. People's way of life have been thrown away, tossed aside. Certain people's cultures been elevated, others have been silenced. I said, when you write things in a capitalistic way, it even excludes the people who think that they're benefiting when they're not. And so we get turned against each other. So I just think that if we had better lawmakers, I'll say that, better lawmakers, because people do what they know. So that means that we have to have a better society, and a society that's more entrenched in abundance than scarcity. So that's why I'm saying that, and I'll say this, my last thing, I'll say that's what I would want to, after I got a wand in my hand, put the spirit of abundance in everybody so that people wouldn't be so afraid to lose and let go of things. And I promise you it'll be a better world, because then we wouldn't be so caught up in what we want. We would just focus on what we need. You have to talk about it in ways that people will understand. So some people in some urban environments wouldn't understand talking about fossil fuels. So we have to talk about it in a way so that they understand how they're connected to that. The things that power your home, the things that make petroleum, like the things that we use for our convenience are the things that are harming the planet. To continue to do it on an uncontrollable or on an unscalable level. Like I said, we treat people like we treat the planet. So if we can save the people, I think that we'll start to see even more with the planet. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm making that statement, because if we're only talking fossil fuels, if we're only talking about it scientifically, people aren't going to even know, oh, that's me. Mm-hmm. Like they're not going to see it that way. But if we talk about it, then it says we need to change our lifestyle, how we're living, how we're powering our houses, how we're washing our clothes, what we're buying, what we're putting on our bodies, what we're washing our dishes with, the vehicles that we're riding in, how we're over consuming, everything. That's when people will see this is how we're all a part of this issue, because what they're doing supplies what we're doing. Right. And what we're doing justifies for them what they're doing. Right. So we have to show them the whole, what I like to say, feedback loop in all of this, so people can see how we're all complicit. So then a small minority or a nice minority of people will take responsibility to change. Yeah. And I do believe we'll be successful.
Awesome. And I hope you have a wonderful evening, and we'll be talking soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.